Welcome back to the news at 10. In what appears to be a demonstration of government's determination to enforce effective distribution of petrol across the country, the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Diezani Alison Madueke, today paid an unscheduled visit to some fuel stations in Lagos. While on the tour, the minister insisted that the federal government has no intention of increasing the pump price of fuel and warned that a list of those suspected to have hoarded the product is already being compiled.
I have full confidence in the heads of the various parastatals under the ministry that handle products and product supply. But I think that as the minister, it is my responsibility to come myself, talk to customers, talk to the owners of stations, and even talk to some of our suppliers as well. We have no plans to increase the pump price of petrol, period, anytime soon. And it is not something that you can hide in any case. By due process, you must advertise it severally all over the country. You must give your countrymen a time and date for such a change to take place, and then you must gazette it. There is no intention by this government to increase the pump price of petrol at any time in the near future. I have just given directives as I came off the plane. I want to see the names published of those who have already started hoarding and who we found to be doing so by the Department of Petroleum Resources. And we shall keep this up over the next few months to ensure that these sort of incidents do not occur again.
Meanwhile, a similar activity was carried out at the nation's capital territory, Abuja. The group managing director of the NNPC, Andrew Yakubu, during the inspection of some petrol stations, explained that the corporation has stepped up interventions to ensure that the queues are eliminated within the next 24 hours. Mr. Yakubu, who was accompanied by the senior special advisor to the President on Public Affairs, Dr. Doyin Okupe, added that the intervention will continue until the situation returns to normal. During the visit, the team discovered that the queues have reduced at most of the stations, while a few are still experiencing long queues.
This intervention to clean up the queues, we had to do up to 150 trucks, and as you can see, it is really producing results. And in all the stations that we visited, they had enough stock, and they also had standby trucks to discharge into the stations. So from all indication, it is clear that we have enough stock, so people should not go on panic buying. We have more than enough stock, and this will continue until we go back to normalcy. We have received a report from Lagos. Lagos is doing very well. Most of the queues have been cleaned up. We have also received reports from Kano and other parts of the country, and in addition to that, we are also building up the strategic stock that we released from Suleja. So we're moving in the right direction, and the other players in the industry are also receiving their stocks as we speak, and we hope that very soon we'll come back to normalcy.
Well, attention around the world, around the health world that is on how to beat the invisible glaucoma, which has been described as a silent thief of sight. Although there seems to be no accurate data on the burden of glaucoma in Nigeria, some studies put the prevalence between 8 and 10% in the over 40 age group. On our Focus on Health tonight, our correspondent, Yomi Otaigbe, reports that the strength of glaucoma could be taken away when detected early.
Close your eyes for a few seconds and try to move around. How easy is it, and how does it feel? What you feel is perhaps a snippet into the experience of those who are visually impaired. Just as there are several roads that lead to a bright and beautiful eyes, there are many contending factors for this sensitive body organ. One of them is glaucoma.
Glaucoma is a term that refers to a group of eye diseases which damage the optic nerve, which is the main nervous supply to the eye. And that's what transmits impulses of visual fibers or visual information from the eye to the brain. Glaucoma is the leading cause of irreversible blindness worldwide. And it's the second leading cause of blindness after cataract. You think about the eye like a balloon or a ball that is filled with fluid. That fluid is produced within the eye and flows out from the eye into the conjunctiva, joins the veins and moves out. But sometimes that outflow is not very good. Sometimes the pores are really, really tiny. The pores through which they go out could be occluded, sometimes by inflammation, sometimes by particles within the eye. Cataract can actually cause a secondary glaucoma when it becomes complicated. Sometimes the glaucoma may take 10, 15 years to develop. So my advice is, if anybody has ever had an injury to the eye, you should see an eye doctor annually. The risk factors for glaucoma being of African descent, age, the older one gets, the higher the risk of glaucoma, a positive family history of glaucoma. So myopia, people that are short-sighted are slightly at risk.
Glaucoma has over the years shown its ability to silently erode the eyes and cause vision loss, as there are typically no early warning signs or symptoms. By the time a patient is aware of vision loss, then the deed is almost done.
Most glaucoma patients will not say something like, oh, everywhere looks smoky. They'll just say my vision looks dark. For people who have very high pressures, about 40, 50 millimeters of mercury, they could tell you, oh, when I look at a bulb, I see rainbow colors around bulbs. And that's a very important sign for glaucoma. Sometimes they just say my vision fluctuates. I wake up in the morning, I'm not seeing so well. By evening, it clears a bit. And some people would say something, I found this very unusual. I haven't seen it in any textbook. But a lot of my patients will say something like, doctor, I feel there's water in my eye. It's not a death sentence, and it doesn't mean the person is going blind, but it means I'd rather tell patients, don't reject glaucoma and say, oh, I can't have it. Reject what follows glaucoma by helping to detect it early.
Reversing the effect of glaucoma on sight is dependent on how much ground it has covered.
Blindness in Nigeria is about 1%. 1% of population generally is blind in Nigeria. And if we're working now, we're saying our population is about 160 million. That means 1.6 million of us are blind around, and 20% of that are due to glaucoma. The challenge there is that because you do not know, you cannot detect glaucoma for yourself. If you do not go have your eyes checked, these numbers will definitely increase over the years. And that's where the problem is. And that's why we're encouraging people, by using the opportunity to ask and appeal to people to please go have your eyes checked.
Your eyes are the window to the world. Taking care of them should be deliberate and part of your daily routine. Diet rich in fruits and vegetables, particularly carrots. Regular eye checks and avoiding trauma to the eye are some of the important ways to healthy and clear eyes. Yomi Otaigwe reporting for Channels Television News.
It is scary, but it's very important to take care of your eyes. Well, some cheery news for commuters plying the ever-busy Itu-Calabar Highway, as a new bypass is being constructed to reduce the pressure on the Odukpani section of the road. The 15-kilometer Adiabo-Eseku Road in Odukpani local government area is one of the key road projects being executed by the Niger Delta Development Commission in Cross River State.
This pleasurable ride may soon be the experience of commuters as soon as the 15-kilometer Adiabo-Eseku Road in Odukpani local government area is completed. At the other end, where the project is yet to be completed, the NDDC team engaged the contractors.
When we get the other dredge going, we got to build stockpile.
The executive director of projects, Engineer Tuoyo Matsuli, states the benefits of timely completion of the project.
We will have two roads that are linking to these two major cities. You can do different. The movement of vehicle are very easy, and we alleviate the suffering of our people in this area.
The team also inspected hostel projects at the Cross River State University of Technology and the University of Calabar. The chairman of the NDDC board, Senator Basi Ewa-Enshaw, joined the team to inspect the Center for Indigenous Studies. He insists on quality and timeliness of delivery on the Commission's projects.
We must find ways to support education in our sub-region, and this is one way to create a conducive learning environment for the students. We are going to place emphasis on quality and timeliness of work. People must do their work, and particularly those who are supervising will be held accountable. We will not accept this thing about people just collecting money and walking away. It will not happen.
This wave of inspections is expected to continue in different parts of the Niger Delta region, in line with the federal government's directive that ongoing projects be completed to make room for new ones.
It's time for us to check out what's happening in business news, and Adeshawa Josh is standing by in our business studios with the news.
Well, thank you, Harriet. Let's take you through our top stories on business news this hour. Nigerian bond yields are expected to rise at an auction next week as local pension funds shun longer-dated debt and opt instead for treasury bills providing higher returns. Nigeria plans to sell 90 billion naira in 3- and 10-year bonds maturing in August 2016 and March 2024 each, at a sale on March the 12th. Now, traders are saying that bond trading had been subdued in the last 2 days as risk-averse locals favor higher-yielding treasury bills, while offshore investors also stay away. Meanwhile, the external reserve has declined below the very important $41 billion level. The reserve went down to as low as $39.7 billion on Monday this week. And this, according to some economists, are likely to trigger panic among jittery investors. However, this trend has started, albeit slowly, since December 2013. But the sudden suspension of the CBN Governor, Lamido Sanusi, helped stoke the fire. Our business correspondent, Chimeze Obiwagu, now reports.
Reserves, simply defined as a country's savings account in foreign currency. Nigeria's external reserves, currently at $39.7 billion, have depleted 5.8% year to date and 15.98% compared to 2013 peak of $48.86 billion.
Your imports is on the increase, right? But your revenues have actually declined. And your revenues have declined because there are leakages from the oil flows, there are leakages from the revenues that have been repatriated. If you pay out too much and you earn too little, the reserves will go down. If you pay out too little and you earn more, the reserves will increase.
This, no doubt, has its implications for the Nigerian economy.
When you have a thin base to defend the exchange value of your currency, that will affect confidence. And so the natural thing for anybody to think of is, hey, this is about the best time for me to take out my investment here. Because very soon, this economy will be under pressure to service its external debts.
Meanwhile, the Naira currency has exhibited significant volatility on the interbank market. And given the sensitivity of the Nigerian economy to the exchange rate, the CBN has supported the Naira using the reserves, which has further helped in the depletion.
But an adjustment of the currency is inevitable. It's not what we like to do, it's what we have to do.
The CBN does allow periodic adjustments to avoid any rapid running down of the foreign reserve. The last such adjustment took place in 2011 when the marker shifted slightly from 150 naira per dollar to 155 naira per dollar. Larger revaluations were carried out at the height of the global financial crisis in 2008-2009, when the naira target was moved from 120 naira per dollar to 150 naira per dollar. Although the 2011 devaluation helped the reserves to recover over the next year, they fell from $48 billion in the first quarter of 2013 to $43 billion in January 2014. Well, the adjustment of the naira seemed to be the solution to the depleting reserve now, but some economists believe that doing that before the 2015 election could be considered politically undesirable. Yet, if it is not done now, the naira will be devalued in future, given that the reserves would have fallen further. These are certainly hard choices for the economic management team to make. Chimezie Obiwago, Channels Television News.
Also, the interbank lending rates eased marginally to an average of 10.66% on Friday from 10.75% last week as the CBN credited lenders with funds in excess of the amount it had taken to enforce its cash reserve ratio. Well, dealers are also saying that the CBN had withdrawn about 107 billion naira above its CRR limit, which it debited banks last month, and has had to refund the excess, boosting liquidity in the system. The secured open buyback OBB rate was flat at 10.5%, 1.5 percentage points below the central bank's benchmark rate of 12%. The overnight placement rate was also unchanged at 10.75%, while call money closed slightly lower at 10.75% compared with 11% last week. And that's business news this hour. The news at 10 continues in just a moment.
Still ahead on the news at 10, a Vietnamese plane spots possible oil slicks as the U.S. joins Asian nations to search for a missing Malaysian Airlines jet. That's on the foreign scene. Please stay with us.